My guest today is Dean Karrel. Dean is a career development coach, sales trainer, and the instructor of 13 courses with over 850,000 views available on LinkedIn Learning. Dean has been in senior leadership positions for more than 3 decades with major global publishing companies, including 22 years at Wiley, where he was senior vice president of sales. Dean is the author of Mastering the Basics: Simple Lessons for Achieving Success in Business. I am really looking forward to this conversation with Dean, and I know you are going to learn a lot about how to be successful in sales and especially selling in the post-COVID era. I look forward to this interview. Dean, it's great to have you with us today.
Michael, it is great to be here, and thank you so much for the invitation to join you and your audience.
Absolutely. This is going to be a terrific interview, I'm sure, that many will learn from. So I want to just jump right into it, Dean, with the first question. How much did the job of sales change in the past year?
Wow, right? I mean, that's a great question that we've all tried to balance over the past 12 months. It's amazing. You look back 12 months ago from now, wow, we all thought, well, let's get through the next month, April, May, and we'll be back to normal by June. And
Mhm.
look what's happened. And I've told a story about what happened to me. This is March 10th. I had an appointment with somebody by telephone in New York City. And they said, Dean, this is great. Let's have lunch together on March 30th. And a week later, they called me up and they said that their company had been gone remote. A week later, this individual got furloughed. And so when you look at the whole sales process of us meeting people in person or doing phone interviews or in-person lunches, totally changed. Our world of sales, I think, has turned upside down.
Mhm. Gosh, it's true. It's true. I totally believe that. I've had, I think, one meeting with a person in the last year. Everything's
Yeah.
been over video and the phone. What should salespeople be thinking about in preparing for selling in the post-COVID era?
I just think we always have to be better prepared. I think we're hearing this phrase now, the buyer first mentality. I think this is what we've all had to have had, buyer first mentality, but I think it's really being stressed now. Uh, we're in a different world and we're in a different setup. We have to be better prepared, do better research, know our customers better than ever before. The same old scripts, the same old sales process techniques. We have to up our game. And I think that's probably the most important thing. It's a new world of sales now. And, all of our practices and skills that we've learned through the years, are handy, but they have to be upgraded and we have to do them better. And that goes through taking training like that, what you provide, Michael, and it's also through people continuing to learn and enhance our skills. The old ways of selling are a great foundation, but we're in a new sales world.
Mm. So I think when I consider that phrase, we're in a new sales world. One of the new sales tools is video,
Yeah,
and of course, I'm a big believer in video and sharing my thought leadership through video, and even sending video through email,
right.
putting video on LinkedIn, within private LinkedIn messages, etc. How important is it for salespeople to be comfortable with selling via video?
Well, you're a real role model with this and modeling the way of using video techniques. And again, you go back 12 months ago. I mean, there were some people, some salespeople using video, some using it here and there. Some salespeople couldn't figure out how to even get on a Zoom call or a Teams call. All of us learning these new skills and techniques for teleconferencing. They've been around forever. We were just never learning or using them effectively. I'm talking in general terms. Again, you're a role model with this and doing this effectively. This is going to be part of our tool bank now going forward. Part of our tech stack is proper video conferencing, video selling. If you can't see somebody in person, how are you going to be doing it? Sure, we've got the telephone and we've got email, but this is what we're going to be doing the majority of the time, I think, for the foreseeable future. So we all have to be trained and learn to do it better.
Now is the time. I mean,
Yeah.
invest in the tech, right? I have a webcam, I have a ring light, I have a separate microphone. I make sure what my background looks like. I mean, you can look at Dean's background, you see that it's clean. It is appropriate, elegant. It's not a green screen, right? You're not
Mhm.
seeing Dean's shoulder disappear as he moves around. This is a natural environment, but it's created to look good on video, right? And the sound is super important. So these are ideas that are now part of our way of doing business. So I think it's really important that newer salespeople get comfortable with these new technologies right away, and that
Right.
older salespeople, veteran salespeople who feel kind of reluctant to adopt these new technologies, if you're planning on being in sales for the next few years, it's probably a good idea that you do, rather than think you're just going to ride it out with the old tools.
You know, Michael, it's interesting you point that out, is that if you go back to last March, there was a mad dash to all the electronic stores for
True.
upgraded laptops, upgraded video equipment, microphones. Who knew about ring lights unless you were really into this?
Right.
And like you were new it. I
Mhm.
didn't. It was the scramble to upgrade, and I thought I was being, really tech savvy by having the fake background of the, a different background, or the skyline of Manhattan. This is
Mhm.
where I work, so this is how it has to look professional. You made a very good point about, old salespeople, new salespeople. You constantly have to be upgrading your technology, because it's always going to improve, it always going to get better. So you're never behind. You'll be behind if you don't continue to upgrade.
You are a frequent guest on LinkedIn with over 13 courses, and you are rounding the bend towards 1 million views of your courses, Dean. I mean, that is a phenomenal achievement. So I think you're fairly savvy with LinkedIn. What do you think are the best ways for salespeople to engage with customers and prospects using LinkedIn? Do you have any tips there?
Well, you've talked about this a lot in your presentations and on your other videos. I mean, this is a key factor and a key piece of your work, and I agree with you 100%. And you make a point, you said like LinkedIn, how we looked at it a few years ago is totally different now. If you're a salesperson not on LinkedIn every day or using it regularly, I think you're behind the 8 ball. We learn about our customers, we learn about our competitors, we learn other information, we're able to share information. And I think that's how the best sales representatives can really differentiate themselves from the competition, is by sharing knowledge, sharing ideas. It's just not clicking like or posting a quote or sharing an article. It is coming up with some original content, original videos. And again, this is something you do, Michael, I do, and I think it is so important. And and you're not selling. You're exposing your content, exposing your knowledge, and letting people see you, that you have things to offer. There's so many aspects to LinkedIn, from the research aspect to learning about our customers and learning about our competition, but it is also how we improve our brand image, who we are in the marketplace. And again, this is something you do and I do. We both believe, we're both on the same wavelength with the use of LinkedIn. I think it is the most important tool in our toolbox for working with customers in that planning and preparation stage.
I want to ask a few questions pertaining to newer salespeople entering the field. This is a group that I regularly teach and train about how to be successful faster. And I know you have a lot of experience there, and you've written the book Mastering the Basics, which salespeople should read as well as anyone else who would like to accelerate their success in a professional environment. What type of person succeeds in sales today?
Well, I think it is mastering the basic skills. I think that the problem with salespeople throughout history is we too often, we say hello and then we try to close. There's a whole there's a whole process to this, and it involves listening, asking good questions, being curious, developing trust, engaging. All of these things you talked about with a recent guest of yours about emotional intelligence, which I think
Mhm.
is the backbone of what makes a good sales professional, is being aware and understanding what your client's pain points are. So for new salespeople, it's not selling and thinking about the close, but that's usually the first book a salesperson buys, right? How
Right.
do I close business? And the most important part of being a successful person really should be the book on, the first 90 days, learning about customers, learning about what the right questions are to ask, being inquisitive and showing interest. And the biggest thing that every buyer talks about with salespeople is we don't listen. We all talk too much. I'm talking too much now, but we all need to listen more. Better listeners become better sales professionals.
That's the pull quote right there. Right? Better listeners become better salespeople. And there are courses on listening. I have an assessment on listening. I have talked to people about improving their listening. I have a current series rolling out on my channel about listening. And
Yeah.
so I'm with you, Dean. I
Mhm.
I feel that way, that listening and asking great questions together while doing your homework and preparing, because you also mentioned do your research, right? Do your research, do your homework, and be prepared, because I know that that's a big uh,
Yeah.
problem that many salespeople have, is not preparing enough for the appointments that they go to.
It's it is that word, always be learning, and it's being coachable,
Mhm.
um, open to new techniques. I'm so disappointed sometimes when I'll get an email from a new salesperson and it's hello, and then they go, let me tell you about themselves.
Right,
and they
right.
and it's like, wait a minute, I thought it was about me, and remember, you're going back to this buyer first mentality. It is not about the salesperson. It is about your customer. It is about your client. And I think, again, going back to your first question about how sales is different,
Mhm.
in this post-pandemic age will be buyers are going to have less patience for salespeople who are not listening well or asking the right questions. You could see this frustration already. You're hearing it, from the buying community. Is the unprofessional salesperson gets lost very quickly.
Right. And I believe that they get replaced by the internet, unfortunately.
You got it. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've touched on a couple of things that salespeople can do wrong. And now I want to specifically ask the question, what are mistakes newer salespeople make that slow down their success?
Well, the mistakes that they make, I think, goes right back to what we talked about: is not
Mm.
listening, not asking them good questions, not being coachable. We're all pretty good at learning our product or learning our service that we're offering and learning those things, but I think it goes back to you need the solid foundation of a sales process. Again, all the topics you talk about in your videos and in your work, I think those are so critically important for all salespeople. And the mistakes is that we think our learning is done. We think we figured it out. We think we have all the answers. But the best salespeople, I mean, I've been doing this a long time. If I was still selling the same way I was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago or more, I'd be lost. I take pride in the fact that I'm continuing, and like you are, continuing to read books, continuing to learn from other people. I love watching your courses, your videos, and that's how you continue to grow. Again, March of last year, I was not doing this. I was not doing video selling, video conferencing. I was seeing people in person. And so that knowledge of in growing and developing as a salesperson is ongoing. So I think that is what makes a good salesperson and the weak ones stand out pretty obviously in this marketplace.
Mm, yeah, the growth mindset, the interest and curiosity, not just the curiosity about the customer, but also curiosity about the world in general, and how we can learn and grow and improve and continue to be better and better at what we do. I really like that idea, and obviously that I live that. That's why I joined the world of professional development, because I
Right,
knew that it would push me to stay on the edge of learning and growing myself, because I
right,
can't profess to be someone that would coach and train if I'm stuck in time and
right.
not evolving and developing my own skills. So uh,
Yeah.
I hope this answer continues to urge people to push themselves to continue to read books, take courses every year, invest in yourself, right? That idea of the greatest investment you can make is in yourself. I mean, that's what Dean is sharing with you right now. And that's why he's taken so much time to create this many courses, is to help people who are interested in learning and growing through the benefit of Dean's knowledge and experience. What are your recommended resources for salespeople in terms of courses, YouTube channels, podcasts, blogs, books, whatever you have in terms of recommendations? We'd love to hear some from you because of your vast experience of learning and growing.
What's interesting is there are so many choices right now that some salespeople and some business professionals feel you get overwhelmed. You got
Yeah.
to be on, oh, I got to listen to this LinkedIn Live. I got to listen to this LinkedIn course. Got to listen to Michael. Got to listen to Dean. Their podcasts. There's Clubhouse. There's so much out there. The podcasts, everything. So
Mhm.
the trick is, and it's like being a good salesperson, it's focus. So for me, I don't listen to 15, 20 different podcasts. I like one, this Pete Mockaitis, who has one about, be awesome at your job. And he interviews a lot of business people, a lot of people in sales, a lot of people in marketing, a lot of executives, and he breaks it down to some basic business skills. He's also a great interviewer. And it's about 40 minutes, his podcast, and it's twice a week, once or twice a week, and be awesome at your job. So that's one of my favorite podcasts. I am, my background is in the publishing industry. So I worked, more than 3 decades with companies like Simon and Schuster and Wiley, and
Mhm.
I love books. And I think it's one of the best investments there is. For $15, if you can get 2 or 3 great ideas, what a marvelous way to gain knowledge. So reading books. I do like the LinkedIn Learning courses. There are 15,000 different courses there, and I take a lot of them. And I've learned from professors from major universities in the US, from Indiana to Texas, California, Stanford, Harvard. It's like getting a MBA type course from instructors like this. Educationally, I in the corporate world for many years, I went back to college. 5 years ago, went back to New York University, took courses in leadership, human resources, and coaching. Keeps me invigorated, kept me, on my toes. I was with students more than half my age, and that was great. So it's continuous improvement, continuous learning, and don't feel like you have to read every magazine article or every article online or every book. A few books here, a podcast here. Stay interested and listen and follow people who you like on LinkedIn. And I think that gives you a good portfolio of knowledge that you can learn from.
Excellent. I'm interested in checking out the work of Pete Mockaitis. How do you spell his last name, Dean? Just for the people who are listening, and they're going to wonder, how do you spell Mockaitis?
It's interesting. So it's Be Awesome at Your Job is the name of
Mhm.
the webcast. And so it's Pete, Mockaitis. I think I've
Oh,
got it. So it's Mockaitis,
right.
and out of Chicago. And he also has he's taken some of his podcasts that are also on LinkedIn. They made audio versions of them. And you go back through them and they're really, it's just, they're all, the quality of his people he interviews is really terrific. So you pick up a few things. That's what's, again, one of my favorites.
Yeah, yeah, great recommendation. And I really like your point about not having to read everything. Like if I get Inc. magazine or Success magazine, I typically work my way from front to back. But I remember this advice I got from Brian Tracy many years ago. Brian's somebody I've followed over the years. And what he said was, and this was back when we were getting magazines and not reading everything on the internet. He'd say, just rip and read. Rip out the articles that you would like to read and put them into a folder, and then carry that folder around with you and read them when you had time. And it just made me think of that when you said, just read the articles that pertain to you, not everything.
You'll feel guilty then if you haven't read the newsletter. See, right now on LinkedIn, they offer newsletters and you can get those and you can do this. And you're like, I don't have time. So it is focused, and it's okay to say at some point, you know what, I'm not going to follow this person or that person or get that online newsletter just because there's only 7 days in a week. So it's focusing on the ones that you think are the real priorities.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. Wow. Well, this has been a terrific interview, Dean. We've talked about a lot in a short amount of time, and I hope that people who are watching this today are encouraged to go out and do a few things that we've talked about, right? Whether it's investing in improving your tech game, learning how to do better research and preparation for appointments by using tools like LinkedIn, or in increasing your investment in learning and growing by reading some good books or taking some courses. There's a lot of ideas for you here. Any last ideas that you would like to share, Dean, before we close?
Well, what I always say to salespeople, and we all have to believe in ourselves, it's tough. It's been a tough year. We're going to have some learning and developing to go through as we move forward past the pandemic. But in sales, we have our highs and we have our lows. And it's the end of the day, you have to believe in your abilities, believe in your product and service, and always look for ways to improve, enhance the skills, and your learning process never ends.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dean, for being a guest on the show today.
Michael, thank you so much. And again, I really enjoy your work, and it's a real treat to be with you today.
I appreciate it very much.